Tacloban, what happened there, it encapsulates all the things that I wanted to convey to you. Transparency, obviously, we had the money and we didn't hide what we did with it. And then there's interagency collaboration, so we had the police, we had the AFP, we had international military forces coming in, so we collaborated with most everyone. And then at the end of the day, that enabled us to deliver aid in an efficient, transparent, and systematic fashion. So with that, I'm now open to questions.
The floor is now open for questions about managing humanitarian assistance.
Hi, sir. I'm Leah from the Sustainable Philippines program of Harvard Humanitarian Initiative. I would like to ask some questions regarding the role of the military during the Typhoon Haiyan. Do they have to escort some of those UN personnel going on the ground? Could you please explain more on that?
Thank you for your question, ma'am. Actually, apart from escorting, because we had to protect our aid workers, of course, they also provided, well, the military typically always has the hardware, so to speak, for airlifts, for sea lifts, clearing roads. They had the equipment to do that. And apart from that, they also aided us in actually distributing aid. As you see in that picture down there, below the ruined airport, okay, they actually had military personnel who were CMO or civil military operations trained. So they were a big help. They were a big help in distributing aid in an orderly fashion. We were actually perhaps one of the few agencies who didn't immediately lose any of our aid items during distributions, because you can imagine people who are hungry, who are sick, who are cold and everything, and they want to survive. So everyone wants to try to get into a compound or into an aid distribution point just to get what they need. But the military helped ensure that there was order and that people were made aware that everyone would get their fair share of humanitarian aid.
Thank you. Yes, we have another question here.
Hi, Ashik from Singapore. I'm active with the Red Cross. So looking at the UN OCA, which covers 11 sectors of agencies under the UN, I'm wondering what's the coordination across UNDP, across UN OCA, and the international organizations that are usually present on the ground, including the ICRC, Oxfam, MSF, and how does this factor into an international framework that helps a particular state when that state experiences a disaster, when that state declares a disaster, that is to say that the state capacity has been exceeded?
Would you stress your last point again, sir?
Okay, so my question is number one, what's the coordination across the different actors, right? Not just UN, but the international organizations. That's the first question. Second question, is there an overarching framework such that there's inbuilt strategy where the moment the nations, the state's capacity is exceeded, certain actors are merely brought in, and is there a particular structure in place as well to allow these non-state actors to exit during the recovery?
Yes, actually there is an overarching strategy to integrate other actors that were outside the United Nations system. Like, for example, we had, yes, you're right, we had ICRC there, MSF, all these international NGOs were on the ground. And what happened is, while they do not fall squarely within the humanitarian framework of the UN system itself, there is constant liaison between the OCHA, people on the ground, and these actors. Again, it goes through multiple levels. At the the local level, country level, and then on the ground. This overarching strategy of incorporating various humanitarian actors prevails. So it was just a matter of getting an understanding of how they intend to operate, what their operating modalities were, and to ensure that there was no overlap or confusion in the delivery of aid, services, and goods. Like, for example, we had to distribute non-food items, transitional shelter kits in a systematic fashion. You couldn't have someone putting up an aid distribution point in one place and then 50 meters away there was another. You obviously can't do that. I know that's a simplistic, very simplistic example, but you can't have that. So all these different actors had to coordinate what they did. So for NFIs, for example, so IOM was involved in giving out MFIs. So if there was another aid agency, an NGO or an INGO, who did that, they collaborated with us. And everything had to, I wouldn't say clear, but had to be coordinated or channeled through the SWD and host government authorities. Because they were the ones on the ground who had a better idea what the needs were, where these needs had to be met immediately. So that was the degree of collaboration there. We depended on a very high degree on the host government also.
Are there any other questions for our speakers this afternoon?
Good afternoon, sir. You have already shared so many insights and reflections on what happened in Yolanda, but would you be able to share us some more of the challenges you faced for your organization?
Well, this is where I would have to give an example of another disaster. Because prior to Yolanda and the disasters that happened slightly before that, we did not have the L1, L2, L3 level of classification at first. So it was extremely challenging during Banda Aceh, the tsunami, the earthquake and the tsunami. It was very challenging for us to determine the level of response that the agency had to give. And it was one of those disasters whose magnitude was really beyond compare. You've seen Banda Aceh, what happened there, so it was beyond compare at that time. And there were some instances where we had to go on the fly, so to speak. We had a big emergency operations manual, this thing. Ina has seen it. A lot of people have seen that. And I'm telling you, what happened in Banda Aceh, about 80 to 90% of our plans went by the wayside, and we adapted. We had to adapt. And as we went on from one disaster to another, we took lessons learned from this, coordination challenges, communications, which is crucial. We had many challenges with that. Bringing in necessary equipment, because it still had to go through the usual protocols of each and every host government. That was another challenge we faced. In Banda Aceh, we also had to travel great distances from Jakarta all the way to Banda Aceh. So at first, it was by road, 3 to 4 days, and that was immense challenges until we managed to go by sea. Because at first there were no ports, the airport was totally devastated, and when they managed to put up a temporary port, then we were able to overcome our logistical challenges using the seaboard route. So those are just some practical examples of the challenges we faced in that kind of disaster, whilst our framework was still being developed.
We have 3 more questions.
Good afternoon again, sir. I am Frederick from UST and the local government of Manila. You mentioned that you were transparent, quick, and effective from the perspective of the UKA. I am just wondering why there is a lingering issue on the corruption that were performed or happened during the Yolanda distribution of aids and relief during the Yolanda disaster. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your question, sir. Actually, it's not only Yolanda. I've seen numerous disaster response efforts that have been tainted with corruption worldwide. We've had this issue in Haiti. We had the same issue in Iraq after the Gulf War. So many places. And that is one of the reasons why the UK government is one of those at the forefront of those calling for greater transparency. Because we have to bear in mind that the aid money used to fund these disaster response efforts come from taxpayers. They come from taxpayers. The hard-earned money of our taxpayers. And I'm sure we all know how much taxes are in the UK. Right? So let's think of it from this perspective. Why we have to have transparency, why we are batting, why the UK government is batting for transparency. Like say, sir, for example, you pay your taxes and then a part of it goes to aid. I'm bringing this down to the human level. How would all of us feel if we actually see our hard-earned money go elsewhere, not to those in need of aid? How would we feel, right? So that's why there's this increasing demand for transparency. There's this increasing demand for replacing anti-corruption regulations, because across the world, we cannot discount the possibility of people dipping their hands into aid funds, because these run into the millions, into the billions of dollars. It's very hard to audit. It's very hard to account for. And in fact, in Iraq, we prosecuted 2 consultants, but we ended up with about $5 billion US. And that did not need prompting from any donor or any government, because the organization was very conscious of its responsibility towards donors and the taxpaying public. I hope that answers your concern, sir. Or would you like some other clarifications?
Would it be safe to assume that the Philippine government failed to be transparent because from the end you were doing
But this is really tricky, actually. But yes, first off, let me put a caveat. What I say is not the official position of the UK government. That's the first thing, right? Let's get that clear. And I may be out of the job by Monday. No, we don't want to be judgmental, actually. But as in any government, anywhere in the world, you know, we have to admit that corruption, graft and corruption exists in the Philippines. And it's not only here, it's endemic everywhere. That's one thing I'd like to get clear at the outset first. Even in developed countries, we see some level of this, but in a more sophisticated fashion. In the numerous posts that I have been in the 11 years that I have been in the UN system, I have seen corruption at various levels. And unfortunately, in a large number of cultures, especially in Africa and in South Asia, it was accepted practice. It was already accepted practice. Now, I'm not saying that the Philippine government failed to be transparent. Perhaps, yes, there may have been some shortcomings. Perhaps. Not from the government as a whole, but from individuals within the government. Because no matter how good a system you have, it all boils down to the people who make up that system. I know that's a roundabout way of addressing your concern, but I don't want to run out of a job on Monday.
Yeah, I'm Dan. I'm an ex-military officer, sir. I used to work in 505 Reserve Group, so I can relate when you told us earlier the breakdown of the responders. You know. Now, but my question now is that when you arrive in Tacloban, what was the first challenge on the ground pertaining to the local politics, you know, local politicians going? I know there was a breakdown in the leadership, right? But part of that I see as we need to stop the speech to the ground commander. So can you relate, you know, the challenges you faced when it comes to dealing with the LGUs, you know, politics around everything?
Well, actually, my first challenge was trying to get my luggage and all those initial supplies for our team through the airport. That was actually the first challenge because there was actually no infrastructure left. Like, they were doing things manually at the airport. So patiently, they had to go through each and every piece of luggage. That was the first challenge. And then, as you well know, the LGUs were severely affected in Yolanda. Even the entire provincial police office was virtually wiped out, so to speak, to the point that they had to import, quote-unquote, police officers from the NCRPO. It reached that point. Thankfully, there was government foresight in having structures from Manila transposed to cover for the lack of the government infrastructure in Tacloban, those that had been negatively impacted. So at first I was thinking, who am I going to talk to here to arrange for security, to arrange for assistance in aid distribution? Who do I talk to with respect to potential office space, accommodations? That was the thing at first. But then it was very good to find that some people I knew here in Manila were temporarily assigned there. And these networks helped immensely in helping establish, first of all, secure accommodations and office space from where we can work, secure storage for supplies and related goods. And then these networks helped immensely in making arrangements for protection for people who were going to go to distribution points doing rapid needs assessment, etc. So those were the initial challenges. Who do you talk to? Where do you go? And fortunately, because of this infrastructure we had at the UN, and because of the foresight, which to my mind was very good at that time, to transpose people and services from Manila structures, that helped us. It went a long way, very long way, in those initial few weeks.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon. Before Yolanda happened, sir, there was this Zamboanga siege. All international organizations went to Zamboanga to help, and then a month after, the Bohol earthquake happened. Then, leaving Zamboanga, like, what's happening? Because every international organization went to Bohol. And after a month, so they went to Bohol, and after a month, they went, of course, to Yolanda, leaving also Bohol hanging because, you know, it's a multiple kind of support organizations. Under the IAS, do we have like standing policy on before humanitarian leaves, is there a well-communicated exit strategy plan so that this from Zamboanga, Bohol, and Yolanda, people like what's happening? And so the tendency becomes the more higher the emergency level is, the more good for international organizations to come because they have from one place. At least we can improve the exit strategy.
Like I said, on paper, yes, there is a very well thought out exit strategy. But as in anything of human origin, it's all prone to disruptions and failures at some point. You may have the most perfect strategy on paper, but circumstances sometimes derail to a certain extent such exit strategies. Like for example, in Yolanda, there were problems with the exit strategy there. you recall. So, yes, what I can say about this is you can have a well-crafted policy, you can have well-crafted exit strategies, you can have well-crafted everything. But at the end of the day, like I said in the previous address and previous questions, it all boils down to the people who are executing those policies, those exit strategies. It all boils down to them. We've experienced quite a number of exit strategy challenges. Yes, that's true. We've experienced that across the board. And hopefully as we go along, we learn. But sometimes we reinvent the wheel every time.
Okay, thank you, sir. We would like to thank our representatives from the British government, Ms. Murillo and Mr. Villanueva, please. So at this juncture, we would like to play again the video presented by Adam a while ago.
Whether a humanitarian crisis is unexpected, like a natural disaster,
So for those who have additional questions to our guests, maybe you can approach them while we are on break later.
whether a humanitarian crisis is unexpected, like a natural disaster, or longer term, such as refugees displaced by conflict. The priority for humanitarian aid workers is to save as many lives as possible. Opportunities to reflect on what health measures work and to gather evidence on the most effective public health interventions are rare. But dedicated research is essential to transform practice and help contribute to saving lives. ELM's Research for Health and Humanitarian Crisis Programme aims to strengthen the evidence base for public health interventions in humanitarian crises. We fund research, we support partnerships, we transform practice. We invest in cutting-edge research that addresses a range of public health issues in humanitarian crises. We fund studies in current humanitarian contexts and in rapid onset crises. We support partnerships that bring together academic institutions and humanitarian practitioners. Partnerships are crucial because they ensure the research we fund is both academically rigorous and informed by local needs. We transform practice through sharing research outcomes with key stakeholder communities. Results are also published in peer-reviewed journals and adapted into briefs and guidelines for policymakers, as well as tools for humanitarian practitioners to use in the field. Academic researchers and humanitarian practitioners conduct research together, which leads to stronger evidence in public health interventions and improved policy and practice, resulting in better health outcomes for those affected by humanitarian crises.
Okay, thank you. And may I call on Seth for some announcements and reminders for our fellows.
Thank you, Charles. So just a quick reminder, some of you have been asking of how to submit your proposals, which are due tonight by midnight. And you can just submit those via email to the BIARI email. Just make sure in your subject line that you include your group number, and you can write, say, Group 1 final proposal, just so that it pops out to us so that we can sort them from all the other emails out there. So those are due by tonight at midnight. Just submit it to that. We're actually a little ahead of schedule, which is fantastic. We're slowly getting better and better on our timing as we move along. And so we're actually going to take a break now. Please take 30 minutes to grab snacks, relax, chat among ourselves, and then we can go into group work a little bit early. So let's try to go into group work around, say, 3:45. And actually someone from the PDRF team can probably inform on where the groups will be. I'm looking at Tony here.
It would be Tony.
Alright guys, so for today's breakout sessions, I'm going to announce the assigned groups for each group. So group number 1 will be staying here in the command center. Group number 2 will be at the command center breakout area, which is basically on on that side of the room. Group number 3 will be the boardroom, which is just across the command center. Group number 4 will be the recovery hub, so that's the one near the security door. Group number 5 will be the resource center, the library. Group number 6 will be the training room. Group number 7 will be the patio picnic area, so outside. And then group number 8 will be in the lounge. And then, and snacks are available, so, okay, don't get excited yet. So snacks are available, so it's gonna be a working break, so feel free to grab some food. Just make sure that you don't spill anything and you don't, and dispose your trash in the proper bin. Another reminder, tonight will be our send-off dinner. So, all good things must come to an end, as they say. So, there will be shuttles that will usher people from here to our send-off dinner venue, which will be Matangi. So, you're going to be enjoying the best of Pampanga cuisine later. And I've heard people talking about possibly going to the street dance party. Just a reminder, you have a deadline tonight, so don't enjoy yourselves too much. But yeah, I mean, work-life balance, right? Yeah. Alright, so we'll probably start the shuttle service from here to Matamian around 6, just before 6, so we're gonna do it in groups, because it's a bigger group. Again, Wi-Fi password is BIARI. So, any more questions, concerns? So again, just to recap, Group 1, Command Center, Group 2, Command Center Breakout Area, Group 3, Boardroom, Group 4, Recovery Hub, Group 5, Resource Center, Group 6, Training Room, Group 7, Patio, Picnic Area, and Group 8, Lounge. Last reminder, at around 4 o'clock, just before you guys go to your breakout groups, or if you can have a few moments to pause, let's assemble in the PDRF area just outside where you see the logo of PDRF. Let's have a group photo. Alright, while everybody's still here.
Okay, before you go, may I please ask the following people to please stay. Ari Ablang, Franco Agudo, Rodel Quico, Jamela Robles, and Dr. Elmir Apolinario. Kindly stay here for some reminders with PDRF. Again, Ari Ablang, Franco Agudo, Rodel Pico, Jamela Robles, and Dr. Elmir Apolinario. Thank you and enjoy your snacks.